Chapter 1. The Question That Changes Everything. I remember the exact moment when I first started to see things differently. It was an ordinary morning. I was sitting at my kitchen table, staring at the same cup of coffee I'd been drinking for years. Life felt stuck. I was tired, overwhelmed, and frustrated. But then a thought hit me. What if the problem isn't my life? What if the problem is how I'm looking at it? That one question cracked open something inside me. I began to realize that so much of what I thought was wrong wasn't about my circumstances. It was about my perspective. Let me tell you about Carla. Carla lost her job last year. At first, she thought it was the end of her career. She spent weeks spiraling, telling herself she'd failed. But then she asked herself a different question. What if this is an opportunity? That shift in perspective changed everything. Today, Carla runs her own business, doing what she loves. The same thing can happen for you. It starts with a single question. What am I not seeing? Chapter 2. The Mirror Moment. Have you ever felt like life is just throwing one obstacle after another at you? Like you're trapped behind a giant wall you can't climb? I've been there. I was juggling work stress, strained relationships, and endless self-doubt. I felt like everything was against me. But then, a mentor asked me something I'll never forget. What if the wall you're facing isn't a barrier? What if it's a mirror? At first I didn't understand. But then I realized so many of my struggles weren't external. They were reflections of my own fears, my own insecurities. I want you to think about this. What's one challenge in your life right now? Now, ask yourself, what does this challenge show you about yourself? What is it teaching you? Chapter 3. The Art of the Reframe. It's not about what happens to you, it's about how you see it. One of the most powerful tools I've learned is the art of reframing. Let me explain. When something goes wrong, our first instinct is often to say, why is this happening to me? But what if, instead, we asked, what is this teaching me? Let me tell you about Marco. Marco was rejected from his dream job 3 times. He was devastated. But instead of giving up, he asked himself, what can I learn from this? That question led him to start his own company, and now he's thriving. When we reframe failure as a lesson, it loses its power to hold us back. What can you reframe in your life right now? Chapter 4. Gratitude. The flashlight in the dark. Gratitude is a flashlight. When everything feels dark, it helps you find your way. I used to think gratitude was for when things were going well, but then I realized it's even more important when life feels hard. Take Ethan. He lost everything in a fire, his home, his belongings, his sense of security. But instead of focusing on what he lost, Ethan focused on what he still had. His family, his health, his resilience. That gratitude gave him the strength to rebuild. Today, I want you to try this. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's the sound of rain or a kind word from a friend. Gratitude shifts your focus, and when your focus shifts, so does your perspective. Chapter 5. The Lens of Love. What if we chose love over fear? It's so easy to get caught up in judgments, about others, about ourselves. But when we choose love, everything changes. Let me share a story about Maria. Maria was a teacher with a student who seemed impossible to reach. Instead of labeling him a problem, she chose to believe in him. Over time, that belief transformed him. Love is powerful. When we see ourselves and others through a lens of love, we create space for growth, healing, and connection. Today, I want you to try something. Think of one person you've been judging harshly, including yourself. Now ask, what would it look like to choose love instead of fear? Chapter 6. The Vision Ahead. Let's imagine something together. What would your life look like if you saw challenges as opportunities, failures as lessons? If you woke up every day and asked yourself, what beauty can I find today? This is the shift. It's not about creating a perfect life. It's about creating a life where you can find meaning and possibility in every moment. So here's my question for you. What will you see differently today? Because when you change the way you see the world changes with you. Thank you for taking this journey with me. My hope is that this audiobook inspires you to see your life and yourself in a new light. Remember, the shift doesn't happen all at once. It's small, intentional steps. And step by step, you'll start to see the world and your place in it transform.